Sometimes the hardest battles are the ones no one else can see. The ones fought in fluorescent-lit offices at 3 in the morning. In the space between what you're told to do and what you know is right. In the silence before you speak the truth that might cost you everything. She never thought of herself as brave. She only wanted to tell the truth. The rain had been falling since dawn. Soft. Persistent. The kind that makes you think instead of move. Drive. Leah Kim sat at her desk, staring at a report she'd worked months to complete. The data was clear. Unmistakable. But someone wanted it to disappear. The company funding her research wasn't pleased with what she'd found. They wanted adjustments. Just small ones. Make the numbers cleaner. Make the findings look safer. Everyone else had already signed. She couldn't. The world around her kept moving, emails pinging, meetings scheduled, deadlines approaching. But inside, something had gone still. Because she understood the weight of a single sentence. The cost of 3 words. This isn't true. They called her stubborn. Told her she didn't understand how things worked. How the system functioned. How survival required compromise. Her name began disappearing from meeting invites. Her inbox grew quieter with each passing day. Her students noticed the silence before she did. Every night, she stayed late. Grading papers under dim office lights. Checking data for the 100th time. Fighting the voice that whispered maybe she should have just gone along. Because integrity sounds beautiful in theory. Until it starts to cost you something real. One evening, with rain still streaking the windows, she opened her laptop. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then moved. She attached the original files. Typed one line. For the record, this is what we found. She took a breath. And pressed send. In that small, quiet act, something shifted. Not just in her office, or her career, or her conscience. But in a story much older than her own. A story written in sand and wind and faith. Thousands of years before her. Her name was Deborah. And like Leah, she lived in a time when silence was safer than speaking. When fear had become so familiar it felt like home. When the world had forgotten what courage even looked like. But heaven was waiting. Waiting for someone who would not stay silent. The land of Israel had forgotten how to sing. For 20 years, the people had lived under the shadow of iron chariots. Under the rule of King Jabin and his commander, Sisera. Villages stood empty. Travelers hid. The sound of wheels on dirt roads had become the sound of terror itself. And with each turn of those wheels, hope grew thinner. But in the hills of Ephraim, beneath a single palm tree, a woman listened. Her name was Deborah. Wife. Prophet. Judge. She had no crown. No army. No palace or throne room. Only a palm tree and the voice of God. From sunrise to sunset, people came to her. farmers with disputes, mothers with grief, leaders asking for wisdom they'd lost. And under the shadow of that palm, she spoke what others were afraid to say. Do not mistake his silence for absence. The people believed her, not because she spoke with power, but because she spoke with peace. Not because she commanded, but because she listened first. Her words carried weight because they carried truth. One night, as wind moved through the palm leaves above her, the voice of God broke the stillness. Call for Barak, son of Abinoam. I will deliver Sisera into your hand. Deborah opened her eyes. The stars burned quietly in the desert sky. She stood. Because faith does not wait for the perfect moment. It rises when the world is still afraid to move. She traveled north through silent villages and shuttered homes, past people who'd forgotten what freedom felt like, until she found him. Barak, commander of what remained of Israel's army. He'd fought before. He'd lost before. And fear had made his heart small. When she told him God's command, he looked at her with eyes that had seen too much defeat. If you go with me, I will go. But if you will not go, I will not go. Deborah's gaze was steady, unflinching. Very well. I will go. But the honor will not be yours. The Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman. And she did go. When she stood before the people, they saw not a warrior, but a mother of Israel. Her faith became their courage. Her words became their weapons. Rise, she cried. For this is the day the Lord has given Sisera into your hand. Has not the Lord gone before you? The valley echoed with her voice. And the people followed. Dark clouds gathered over Mount Tabor. Lightning split the sky in jagged white lines. The sound of chariots filled the air, 900 of them, iron wheels, rolling like thunder across the plain. Barak led 10,000 men down the slopes. The wind screamed. The earth trembled. And then the heavens opened. Rain poured in torrents. Not the soft rain of contemplation, but the violent rain of judgment. The ground turned to mud. The mighty chariots of Sisera, symbols of power and terror, sank. Their wheels trapped in the earth itself. The Lord fought for Israel that day. Not with armies or strategy, but with weather, wind, and faith. The Canaanite soldiers fled in chaos. Their commander, Sisera, abandoned his chariot and ran. He found shelter in the tent of a woman named Yael. He asked for water. She gave him milk. He asked for safety. She gave him rest. He slept. And while he slept, God fulfilled his promise. Through the hands of another woman. The honor did not belong to Barak. It belonged to faith. When the battle ended, the valley was still again. But this time, the silence was different. Not the silence of fear. The silence of peace. And from that peace, Deborah sang, Hear, O kings! Give ear, O princes. When I, Deborah, arose, a mother in Israel, the stars fought from heaven. The river Kishon swept them away. Her song rolled across the hills. A melody of gratitude and glory. A song no man had written before her. And no fear could silence after her. For 40 years, the land had rest. And Deborah judged Israel in peace. She never wore armor. She never sought a throne. Her power was obedience. Her courage was trust. Under her palm tree, justice became worship. And worship became life. Centuries later, the wind that moved through those hills would travel farther than anyone imagined. Across oceans. Across generations. Into another quiet room where another woman faced her own kind of battle. The rain still fell outside the window. Leah sat at her desk, heart pounding in her chest. Not knowing if she'd done the right thing. Not knowing if anyone would care. Not knowing if truth was enough when everything else was at stake. Then, a notification appeared on her screen. A message from a colleague she barely knew. It said, "Only this, your integrity honors us all." She smiled through tears she hadn't realized were there. And outside, the wind rose just enough to brush against the glass. As if reminding her, you are not alone. Because faith doesn't end with one generation. It keeps moving. Like wind through leaves. Finding new hearts to speak through. Every age has its Deborah. A woman who listens when others fear. Who stands when others fall silent. Who leads not for power, but for peace. Some do it with swords. Some do it with science. But all do it with faith. And in every one of them, God still whispers the same command he gave beneath that ancient palm. Rise. For this is the day I will deliver. So when the world tells you to stay quiet, remember her. Remember them both. And stand. Because truth is never small when it is spoken in faith. The voice that spoke beneath the palm tree still calls today. Not to the strongest, but to the willing. When the world tells you to stay quiet, remember her. And arise. If this story moved you, share it. So faith keeps rising, one voice at a time.